in Bedtime Stories from See-Through News. Book Club Notes for the Downsizing Sow. The Three Little Pigs, updated by Sternwriter. Chapter 1. Who's the baddie? If you're looking for a moral to this story, you'll have to find it yourself. The Downsizing Sow is more Brothers Grimm than Disney, more Japanese folk tales than Aesop. The pigs in this retelling face life's complex realities. They're no porcine morality tale stereotypes, framing a rule of three narrative towards an inevitable, simple, uplifting conclusion. Still, if you're looking for some lessons learned, hope-bit nuggets, or some ideas for further reading, this is for you. Think of it as some book club discussion notes. Now if, like Mother Pig, you attend the kind of book club that favours gossip and drinking over literary criticism, you might even want to consider suggesting The Downsizing Sow. Whatever its literary merit, its topic is accessible to any parent or child finding themselves in the same housing dilemma as Mother Pig and the Three Little Pigs. Also, The Downsizing Sow is only 1,000 words. No need to wade through Anna Karenina or order yet another chick-lit bestseller from Amazon you know you'll never get round to actually reading. Instead of busking it based on whatever Amazon reviews you dimly recall skimming before you added it to your basket, here, for your convenience, are some discussion notes. They address the key question of this hard-nosed update to a soft-soap fairy tale. A toddler could tell you who the bad guy is in The Three Little Pigs, but who's the baddie of The Downsizing Sow? Here are some thoughts on the main candidates. Chapter 2. Is Mother Pig the baddie? Unless you object strongly to her potty mouth, it's hard to see Mother Pig as anything other than, at best, the story's hero, and at worst, its victim. Staunch matriarch, doing her best under trying circumstances, striving to help her litter build their own lives. Mother Pig delivers tough love while showing a sensitive understanding of her offspring's limited options. When defeated by the system, Mother Pig comforts her three little pigs with the same self-medicating technique she appears to use to deal with her own disappointments. You may not like Mother Pig, you may well feel sorry for her, but it would be harsh to blame her for anything. Chapter 3. Is Small Pig the baddie? Some might credit Small Pig for thinking outside the noddy box. Others might roll their eyes at a naive, doomed attempt to slip something past the planners. Small Pig's planning application could be dismissed as a patent self-sabotaging ruse designed to fail and to perpetuate the Three Little Pigs' comfortable, feckless lifestyle, sponging off poor Mother Pig. Consider, should it have been obvious to Small Pig that the straw house was doomed to be rejected by the planners? Was there any reasonable expectation the planners in this day and age would approve a straw house? If not, what else could Small Pig have done to improve the straw house's chances of approval? Or does The Downsizing Sow provide insufficient evidence for us to conclude whether Small Pig is a sponger or a striver? Chapter 4. Is Middle Pig the baddie? See Small Pig. Like Small Pig's straw house, Middle Pig's wood house's use of unfamiliar round wood instead of standard C16 and C24 certified timber could be seen as a transparent performative gesture, made in bad faith knowing full well it would be rejected. If so, the wood house ruse wasn't even original, merely a knockoff version of Small Pig's cunning plan to stay at home. Plagiarism would be another strike against Middle Pig, though whether that's enough to merit baddie status is another matter. Otherwise, The Downsizing Sow offers the reader no more evidence for deducing the true intentions of Middle Pig than it does for Small Pig. Chapter 5. Is Big Pig the baddie? What of the eldest, so supposedly wisest and savviest of Mother Pig's litter? Does Big Pig deserve our opprobrium for going down the conventional route, or our praise for being the only sensible one? Now, whether we shower Big Pig with bouquets or rotten tomatoes largely hinges on how sensible you consider the brick house application to have actually been. From what Mother Pig tells us, from the moment the local builders sent their eye-watering quotes, Big Pig should have known the brick house was a non-starter. Did Big Pig honestly believe that just for once, prices might plummet? Or a 0 hours boss would magically dispense a massive promotion or huge bonus? Or a winning lottery ticket would solve everything? Pigs, a wag could observe, might fly. Arguably, Big Pig's application was even less realistic and even more doomed to fail than those of Small Pig and Middle Pig. This interpretation paints Big Pig's brick house plan as the most cynical and weaselly of all the Three Little Pigs' efforts to leave home and live independently. A more charitable reader might conclude that the worst sin of which you could accuse Big Pig's bog-standard brick house application was irrational optimism. But whichever view you take, cynicism or naivety are really the defining sins of a proper fairy tale baddie. Chapter 6. Is the Big Bad Wolf the baddie? Now, in the original telling, the clue was very much in the name. In the way of moralistic fairy tales, the Three Little Pigs left no doubt that the Big Bad Wolf was the story's baddie. Pigs good, wolves evil. The Big Bad Wolf's role in the Downsizing sow, however, is considerably more ambiguous. Times have changed. Just as pigs these days are assessed as having intelligence, emotions, and personality comparable to a 4-year-old human, rather than the filthy slob stereotype Mother Pig uses, ironically, to characterize the Three Little Pigs' behavior, the baddie status of wolves is also undergoing revision. Once lamb snatchers or granny eaters with what large teeth you have, wolves are increasingly seen as critical apex predators that shape wildernesses, improving biodiversity via trophic cascade. The Downsizing sow's recasting of the Big Bad Wolf reflects this more nuanced modern attitude to our lupine fellow mammals. More The Jungle Book than Little Red Riding Hood. No longer moustache-twirling villain, this rebooted Big Bad Wolf appears to have regenerated as implacable nature. The Big Bad Wolf of the Downsizing sow resembles the fickle Greek gods, neither good nor evil, just acting out their godlike natures, indifferent to the consequences for mere mortals. Or, to put it another way, a synergistic, homeostatic, planetary-level, self-regulatory system. Gaia. In The Downsizing sow, the cries of the pigs, or fine words of the vested interests, are equally ineffective when it comes to deterring the Big Bad Wolf's huffing and puffing. This BBW no more cares about the consequences of its actions than a greenhouse gas molecule released into the atmosphere. Who released it, when or why, is a matter of the greatest indifference to a carbon dioxide, methane or sulfur hexafluoride molecule. Like Greek gods, they'll just carry on doing their thing up there, while down on Earth, governments finger point, social media warriors bicker, and the poorest, pigs or humans, drown, burn and shrivel first. The Big Bad Wolf is no more the baddie of the Downsizing sow than the sun, shining in the sky in the original version when the Three Little Pigs' search for building materials is solved by generous souls pushing wheelbarrows full of straw, sticks and bricks. Chapter 7. Are the planners the baddies? Now, for much of the Downsizing sow, the planning department appears to be the baddie. If you see Mother Pig and her litter as the good guys, it's the planners who thwart their dreams. Their rejection of Small Pig and Middle Pig's straw and timber-based attempts to leave home and become independent could be seen as a double blow. Their terse rejection emails, after weeks of suspense, deny both the children their independence, if you believe they sincerely want to leave their bedrooms in the crumbling 4-bed semi, and Mother Pig her well-deserved retirement in her snug bungalow. But then the planners greenlight Big Pig's brick house application. Now, their approval of the brick house using standard materials throws the planner's role as baddie into confusion. By waving through Big Pig's application in days, the planners complicate any reader's attempt to cast them as the pencil-pushing bureaucrat baddies, gratuitously and gleefully rejecting any and all applications. Even if you choose to see the planners as sinners, their yes to the brick house makes their sin less obvious, like the Vatican having to retrospectively downgrade their condemnation of Galileo after thinking about it for 359 years. Fairy tales need to clearly signpost baddies because children are yet to develop the capacity for balancing complex, interacting, multifactorial nuance. Populists know that most of us don't grow out of this. We all want simple fairy tale endings. The problem is, we live in a complex, multifaceted world where the only ending is the one we choose for ourselves through our collective action or inaction. Like the pig family, the planners too can be seen as victims of the system rather than as its enforcers, which begs the question, in our Hunt the Baddie quest, of who or what the system is in the Downsizing Sow. Chapter 8. Are the vested interests the baddies? If the unspoken system is the real baddie of the Downsizing Sow, the most obvious candidates mentioned are the politicians captured by the vested interests stroking their chinny chin chins. Lumping big oil, oligarchs, Silicon Valley overlords and volume house builders together might appear to comprehensively cast them as the three-headed beasts of government, business and media. Below the neck, heads were joined by money. Below the belly, beast was joined to beast. The problem with this apparently straightforward interpretation is that unlike beasts, dragons, monsters, or even evil kings, these vested interests are all supposed to follow rules and regulations. Just like the planners are constrained by statutes and guidelines, the governments that make these rules and regulations are elected, or in autocracies tolerated, by us. Big oil, oligarchs, Silicon Valley overlords and volume house builders, powerful though they may be, are only as powerful as we allow them to be. It's not inevitable, for example, that the big five noddy box builders should dictate Britain's building material supply chains, or that they own most of the country's construction land bank. The UK ranks bottom of Europe's self-build charts. Barely 10% of British homes are self-built, compared to more than 80% in Austria. But Austrian little pigs have their own complaints about their local rules and regulations. The truth is that Austrian, British, Chinese, Ugandan and Venezuelan pigs all have it in their power to change both rules and rulers. Everywhere is supposed to be ruled by the common pig. So why, one way or another, do we choose to inactively grumble rather than actively insist? Hang on a moment. That would make Mother Pig the baddie after all. Chapter 9. Assumptions. Let's take a step even further back. What's the point of assigning baddie roles to narratives at all? Why do we find it so important to assign blame? Does identifying one single cause help or hinder fixing a complex problem? Now, we're all quick to mount our high horses and start dispensing blame or credit. It makes us feel powerful, like Greek gods issuing forth lightning bolts. Now, a good finger-pointing session makes us all feel better and reassures us that everyone else is an idiot. But what does it change? Those causing greenhouse effects should think twice before casting the first stone. Say, like the See-Through Network, you're a pragmatist who just wants to move ordinary people from climate inaction to action. What's the shortest, quickest path to measurable carbon reduction? Finally, before accusing all those other idiots of bias, evil, malice or incompetence, it's always prudent to check ourselves for unconscious bias, if only to avoid looking stupid in case someone calls us out. For example, what gender do you think the three little pigs are? The Downsizing Sow uses she for Mother Pig and he for the big bad wolf, but not for Little Pig, Middle Pig and Big Pig. Did you imagine them as male or female? If so, why? Assume makes an ass out of you and me. Or, as Mother Pig might put it, assume makes a total arsewipe out of you and me. If you're the type of person who would rather nudge rulers into changing rules and ordinary people into changing behaviour that would promote carbon drawdown, the See-Through network may be for you. It's composed of a wide variety of different people with different expertises, experiences and degrees of commitment, with the shared goal of speeding up carbon drawdown by helping the inactive become active. Email volunteer@seethroughnews.org for details, or like and share this podcast widely. Thank you for listening.